Howdy, DeathsStalker here. So I saw a story on the news. It would have been a week ago from when this video was recorded, but I thought I'd mention it because it's something that seems to be happening more and more in this area, and that is municipalities are starting to crack down on loud vehicles. Now the news report was actually, they were really focusing on loud cars, and if you're unfamiliar, this is generally the the cars, the Japanese cars where the guys put those resonating cans on their cars to make them even louder, and also the big diesel trucks that run oversized straight pipes. And they also happen to mention motorcycles as well, and they're looking at doing what a couple municipalities did a couple months ago and one last year, where they actually went out and started enforcing the noise bylaws and pulling people over and giving a lot of tickets, sort of like when they do the speeding blitzes or the seatbelt blitzes, except this time they're going after loud vehicles. Now, I actually mentioned to my wife that I don't think it's a problem because my bike's not loud, and she goes, and she looked at me and said it with a straight face. And I said, well, you ride directly behind me, that's where it's the loudest. But I have actually had neighbors say how nice my motorcycle sounds when I drive by, but it is louder than stock. In fact, when I first had this motorcycle, I had it came with a set of Yoshimura mid pipes, and they were unbelievably obnoxiously loud. We're talking about, like, even starting it up in my driveway, like the sound was bouncing off the walls in the garage and stuff like that. It was like a giant echo chamber. It was horrid. And when I used to drive to work, I'd be driving by parked cars on the side of the road, and just the sound of my bike going by was setting the car alarms off, which is, it was funny, but I wouldn't want to be the people living in that area having car alarms going off all the time. But I ended up changing it to the M4 high mounts, which I actually like because they have a very pleasant sound. But not all motorcyclists are, concerned about sound. I know some people that ride stock bikes and they're happy with them. Probably the most common thing you get is the typical, like they're going to blame all Harley riders, but in reality it's like a subset. I don't think it's probably any more than maybe 30% that run straight pipes. Now, a lot of times it's the older bikes, but Harley's design hasn't changed that much, unless you're an actual, a Harley aficionado, that you could tell the difference between a 1990 and a 2000 Harley Davidson, especially since most of them end up with a custom paint job anyways. But these bikes, when they run straight pipes, that's just hurtful to the ears. And like when you go to the motorcycle shows and you have the guys riding up and down the street with these straight pipes and stuff, it's brutal. But again, we also have guys who are riding like older motorcycles, like Nortons and Triumphs, and even some of the Ducatis and MVs that are running straight pipes. But they're such a minority; it's not that bad. House renovations, but and of course there also is the the sport bike crowd. I'm a member, but I can actually, from my house, we have a couple mountain accesses within earshot, and like Friday night and Saturday night, I could hear the sport bikes screaming up a couple of mountain accesses, very loudly. And you're sitting out in your backyard and you can hear a motorcycle from 2 or 3 kilometers away ripping up a road. I can understand people getting mad about it. But again, I hear the same thing with the cars. And, you know, I don't have a problem with loud vehicles as long as they're not, like, obnoxious. Like, when you think about it, even the race bikes, geez, could I have a little bit of my lane, please? You know, even the race bikes at racetracks, they have noise limits now. Like when I used to race, there was no limits. They were just starting to bring that in when I started out, and it was kind of interesting, but it was also kind of weird because no one could decide what made a motorcycle loud, and they were picking on the modern race bikes at the time. I say modern, it's like the 1980s, and some of them, yeah, they were running basically a straight pipe. But we used to have vintage racing at the same time we did, and nothing was worse in this world than a Norton or a Triumph with a straight pipe. Like Harley Davidsons weren't really raced on road racing, so we never had to deal with them. But so, like, you know, like, all I can suggest is that, you know, people probably should stop getting the, you know, the uber loud straight pipes before they end up start regulating them like they do in other countries where you're not even allowed to have an aftermarket pipe. You know, like I know in Germany, aftermarket parts for the motorcycles have to be approved by the government. So it's not like here I can go pretty much buy anything I want. Just gotta see how dirty this road's been. Pretty dirty. Okay, it's not too bad. First time down this road this year. Like, yeah, in Germany they regulate all the aftermarket parts. Now here I can pretty much buy whatever I want. Like technically, I can buy a race pipe and put it on, except, you know, they say not for road use. So if you get pulled over by the police, you know, depending on what municipality, besides the big ticket, there's some situations you actually can get your bike towed or car. So times are changing. Been dealing with the what I call the safety Nazis for the last couple of years, where they keep reducing the speed limits so artificially low they're laughable. But now it looks like we're going to get the noise police in now too, if we're not careful. And I imagine eventually those people will still be complaining about electric vehicles being too loud too. That is a house and a half. So I don't have any magic solutions other than just be considerate to your neighbors and whatnot. Don't be an idiot, but you're going to end up spoiling it for everybody. And that goes for everybody: cars, motorcycles, trucks. Stop sign ahead. I haven't seen it yet. I'm assuming it's up ahead behind all the bushes. Yeah, nice to see they're doing an awesome job trimming the stuff. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think. DeathsStalker signing off.